Governments say that this is going to save them time and money by cutting out paperwork. That means no more waiting in line at the DMV, no more mailing forms. Just log in with your ID and you're done. Estonia, for example, handles 99% of public services completely digitally, and they say it saves them around 2% of GDP every year. And then there's something called interoperability. The European Union says that once their wallet is live, you'll be able to travel across all the countries, pay taxes, and even rent a bike with the same app. So that is the official explanation of why governments want it. A kind of universal passport for the digital world, right? The United Nations has called it the key to, quote, sustainable development because it's supposed to bring everyone into this system. So on the surface, I think it sounds completely innocent, but the reality is that it's anything but that, because once you start to really think about it, the same features that makes it all convenient are also the same features that will be abused for power. And here's exactly why we should be extremely concerned. Once you centralize identity into one system, yes, you do make it easier for people to prove who they are, but you also make it easier for governments and corporations and special interests to track and control people. We've already seen governments weaponize financial access against their own citizens, and you're going to see this happen in 3 specific areas: government power, corporate power, and surveillance. So the first example, government power. If you remember in 2022, during the Freedom Convoy protests in Canada, the government used emergency powers and ordered banks to freeze accounts linked to protesters. They targeted regular people who donated money through GoFundMe. And overnight, citizens were locked out of their own savings. There was no trials, there were no court rulings, no one was convicted of any wrongdoing. It was just because they supported the wrong cause. There was also Georgia earlier this year, where Amnesty International reported that the government froze the bank accounts of NGOs and lawyers who were providing legal aid to protesters. And their crime was offering support to people exercising their right to protest. So with the click of a button, the government just silenced people by cutting off access to their money. And under existing anti-money laundering laws, this is super easy to justify because banks are required to freeze or flag accounts that they suspect have unusual activity. But what counts as unusual activity, and who gets to decide that? That could mean